What made the entire situation even worse was the setting itself. This was supposed to be Angel Reese's massive home debut, the night Atlanta embraced its new star, yet the arena looked painfully empty. For a player constantly promoted as one of the biggest attractions in women's basketball, seeing rows of open seats during her big moment created a brutal image that critics immediately latched onto. A true superstar changes the atmosphere the second they arrive. A true superstar fills buildings, shifts momentum, and forces the league to revolve around them. But what unfolded that night was the opposite. The dream lost to a roster filled with inexperienced players. Reese struggled to finish simple looks around the basket, and the internet exploded with clips of her getting blocked and arguing instead of leading. The game became a symbol of everything her critics have been saying for years. They argue that the numbers surrounding Reese create an illusion stronger than the actual impact she has on winning basketball. Yes, the rebounds look impressive in a box score, but when many of those rebounds come from missed shots directly under the rim, people start questioning what those stats really mean. Fans started pointing out the uncomfortable truth that rebounding your own misses is not the same as controlling a game. It is not the same as elevating teammates or carrying a franchise toward victories. And when the losses keep stacking up year after year, eventually people stop caring about the stat lines and start looking at results. That is where the criticism becomes brutal because the records of her teams have not matched the level of confidence she carries publicly. Every time Reese talks like she belongs in the same conversation as the league's elite, the scoreboard seems to respond with another painful reality check. The Chicago years ended without real progress. Atlanta was supposed to be the fresh start, the redemption arc, the moment she silenced everyone. Instead, the opening chapter became another disaster filled with missed layups, defensive breakdowns, locker room tension rumors, and a fanbase already wondering if the gamble was worth it. The frustration from viewers is not just about bad shooting nights. Every player has rough games. The frustration comes from the disconnect between the image and the output. Reese presents herself like a dominant force capable of taking over the league, yet the actual basketball often tells a much different story. There were moments during that game where she seemed more focused on reacting emotionally to the officials and opponents than on stabilizing her own team. While the Mystics played disciplined basketball, Atlanta looked chaotic. Possessions died. Spacing disappeared. Energy collapsed. And every time Reese forced another awkward attempt near the rim, the criticism online grew louder. People began replaying her earlier comments about revenge games, about proving doubters wrong, about becoming the centerpiece of a new era, and suddenly those statements sounded less inspiring and more delusional. Sports fans can forgive failure when humility exists beside it, but arrogance combined with poor performance creates a different kind of backlash entirely. That is why the reaction became so intense. The audience did not just see a player struggle. They saw someone who promised dominance get completely humbled on her own floor. The harshest criticism Reese faces now is the accusation that she represents empty production rather than meaningful impact. Critics claim her rebounding totals mask offensive inefficiency, defensive inconsistency, and a lack of real offensive polish. They argue that her confidence exceeds her skill level and that the league's tougher, smarter frontcourt players are beginning to expose those flaws more aggressively every season. Whether people agree with that criticism or not, the perception is spreading fast, especially after games like the Atlanta loss. Even more damaging were the comments from within the dream environment itself. Fans instantly became obsessed with clips of teammates joking about scoring huge numbers against Reese in the past, calling her annoying, or openly implying that playing against her used to be easy. In sports, teammates usually protect each other publicly, especially during introductions and early season excitement. So when players casually throw out comments that sound more insulting than supportive, people immediately start speculating about chemistry problems behind closed doors. Suddenly, every awkward body language moment on the bench becomes evidence. Every substitution becomes suspicious. Every post-game comment from the coach gets analyzed like a coded message. And when coach Carl Smesko started talking about lineup adjustments and experimentation only a couple games into the season, critics took that as confirmation that Atlanta already sees major problems forming. Fair or not, perception becomes reality in modern sports conversations, and right now the perception around Reese feels brutally negative. Some viewers believe she has become more focused on maintaining her celebrity than evolving her game. Others believe the criticism has gone too far and crossed into personal hatred. But the reason these debates explode online is because Reese creates emotional reactions unlike almost any other player in the league. People either defend her fiercely or attack her relentlessly. Very few remain neutral. That emotional intensity guarantees attention, but it also creates enormous pressure because every bad performance becomes a feeding frenzy. Every missed shot becomes a meme. Every loss becomes proof for critics waiting to tear her apart. The Atlanta debut felt like the perfect storm of everything working against her at once. The empty seats became symbolic. The blocks became symbolic. The loss became symbolic. Even the body language became symbolic. And once the internet decides a narrative is entertaining, it spreads with unbelievable speed. Reese now finds herself in the middle of one of the most polarizing conversations in women's basketball. Supporters still believe she can evolve, improve, and eventually turn the criticism into motivation. Detractors believe the league is finally exposing what they always claimed, that the fame was never backed by superstar-level skill. Every future game now carries extra pressure because fans are watching closely to see which narrative wins. Will she silence critics through growth, discipline, and winning? Or will the gap between her image and her production continue growing wider until even her supporters begin losing confidence? That uncertainty is exactly why people keep watching. They are not just watching basketball anymore. They are watching a public battle between hype and reality unfold in real time, and every possession feels like another chapter in a story that keeps getting louder, messier, and more impossible to ignore. The deeper this situation goes, the more it starts feeling like Angel Reese is trapped inside a collision between celebrity culture and competitive basketball, and right now the collision is turning ugly. Because the harsh truth about professional sports is that eventually the cameras stop caring about personality if the production never matches the noise. Fans can be entertained by confidence for only so long before they start demanding results, and the moment those results fail to appear, the same attention that once elevated a player suddenly becomes the weapon used against them. That is exactly where Reese finds herself now. Every statement she makes gets replayed after losses. Every confident prediction gets dragged back onto timelines when her shooting numbers collapse. Every flashy celebration becomes fuel for criticism the second another opponent dominates her in the paint. And what makes this spiral even more brutal is that Reese herself continues feeding the fire with the way she presents her career publicly. Instead of lowering the temperature, instead of letting her game speak quietly while she develops, she keeps stepping directly into the spotlight and inviting even bigger expectations. The revenge game comments against Chicago became one of the clearest examples. Talking about dropping massive numbers against a former team creates a cinematic setup where fans expect domination, intensity, and redemption. But when the actual performance turns into inefficient shooting, missed opportunities, and another flood of criticism, the backlash becomes merciless because sports audiences love nothing more than watching arrogance get punished in real time. Reese walked into those moments trying to look fearless, but every miss made the confidence sound more disconnected from reality. Critics immediately started comparing her promises to her production, and the contrast looked devastating.